Okay. I'm riding solo today, so kind of just putting things on my screen the way that I need to see them. Okay. Good, good, good. As Maverick says, have tone, have tone. Okay. Okay. Again, thank you all for being here today. Looks like we have a good crowd. Looking over the names, we have some alum, we have some current students, some faculty staff, and some moral support here as well. Just a quick reminder that this is introduction. We will not be going into how neural networks are built, the weights, the vectors, the nodes, all that wonderful stuff that actually is part of your brain as well. We're going to save that for another one because we're going to keep doing these uh, events. We've had a lot of people interested in them. It's one of those weekends where some people are taking a couple extra days off for the weekend. So, but we did have a lot of interest in even the introduction to ChatGPT and those kinds of things. So we will be doing those. We will be increasing, going into intermediate levels as well and advanced um, as we get going. So more on that later. Okay. I'm going to do one quick mic check here. I don't like how low the bar is here, so I'm just going to double check that quick. Okay, we'll get started here. Once we get started, it'll be hard to stop. So want to make sure everything looks okay. Here, I'm going to move some bars here as well. Okay, again, thank you for joining. My name is Michael Ratajczak. I am the program director for the business intelligence academic programs at St. Mary's University of Minnesota. I'm also the director for our Center for Business Analytics, a new initiative or a year or so in, based around a National Science Foundation grant and generous support from businesses around the area. We run our Center for Business Analytics. So I'll have a little bit of information on that before this train leaves the station here today. So the Center for Business Analytics is tasked with three things. Okay, develop a robust industry-centered workforce pipeline. In other words, students going out to get jobs, internships, but also employers coming in onto campus, attending webinars and seminars and workshops. So it's a two-way street there, but workforce pipeline. Advanced industry relevant research. So we are looking for partners all the time. We are focused more on business implementation of AI, not self-driving robots and things like that. However, if you are interested in that, I do know some people around the campus that are also interested in that, on that side of the physics and mechatronics and things like that as well. And then finally, become a recognized hub for thought leadership and cross-institutional support. So we do work with other schools, whether high school, college, or nationally as well, out in Seattle and California. I work with people out in Virginia that are at universities as well. So trying to put all these wonderful things together around AI that's good, bad, and the ugly. Wonderful, yes, but scary as well in many regards. So that's what our task is with the center. So just a reminder of guidance today. This is Introduction to ChatGPT. Again, I'm not going to go into the neural networks and things like that, the programming, the behind the scenes today. If you're interested in that, we have a wonderful survey at the end where you can say, hey, I want the advanced stuff now, kind of stuff. Give you some update on GPT LLM information, show you a little bit of how to make your own LLM environment. Keyword there is environment. I will not be talking about philosophy, religion, government, or academic policy today. Not that we can't, not that we don't have wonderful people in the audience today that are capable of that. But again, I want to stick to the meat and potatoes of the introduction here. I don't know about you if you're active on LinkedIn, but I am spammed every day with people on LinkedIn that are experts. And it just really kind of biases you a little bit into thinking that everybody's an expert. But the reality is there are still so many people that have never used ChatGPT or curious about it, how it works, all kinds of different levels of thought there. And so that's why we're doing this today, is trying to do an introduction to ChatGPT. And I use ChatGPT as the Kleenex of GPTs. If you think about Kleenex as facial tissues or Band-Aids as adhesive bandages, generally ChatGPT, a lot of people use that word to represent generative AI in general. So again, this is truly meant for people that haven't used the tool much, or hasn't used it at all. That said, I hope 15 people don't run out the door here, the virtual door here, because I often find that I learn something new each time, or gain a different perspective. So hopefully you see some of that here today as well. Okay, so the agenda, again, welcoming you. Quick overview of generative AI and ChatGPT. We're going to demo a few things. I've actually got a few things I've completed, so that we're not sitting here watching it work, because sometimes it has a delay of 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds is amazing compared to having to do it yourself, but still some processes take 30 seconds or so to do, but I've already preloaded some things. Share some interesting use cases out in business with Deloitte, a very, very well-known organization in the business realm that has a lot of use cases, so I'll share a few of those. And then I'll talk a little bit about cognitive hygiene, going very carefully near that philosophy, religion, government stuff I'm trying to avoid today. But when we think of societal impact, of course, we're really close to that line when we're talking about society and people and communities and such. By the way, this graphic was completed 100% with ChatGPT. How did it do? That rhetorical question, but I did not have to edit it. I did not have to prompt engineer it any further. I did not say, hey, you did this wrong, or hey, I want this over there. It did this all, I gave it a short agenda and I said, make a graphic that summarizes our topic for today. And this is what it came up with. Okay. This was also generated from ChatGPT, just to give you another example as we get going here. What I mean by that is I told it what I wanted. I told it the content and it cleaned it up, the language, and it put in all these little emojis or emojicons. Okay. Oftentimes, if you're on LinkedIn and you see all these emojicons, it's often a surefire bet that somebody's post was using AI. Not always, but generally, it's one of those default responses from ChatGPT sometimes. But I wanted to show you this, kind of two birds with one stone. Showing you something ChatGPT can do, but also answering that question in front of you here today. So drafting, these are kind of the general categories: drafting, brainstorming, coding, or data analysis, language support, and interactive use cases, which I'll show you a little bit about later. But if anybody's used ChatGPT before, you're probably familiar with emails, reports, meeting notes, or summaries, or copy and pasting some text in there and say, hey, can you summarize this in 4 sentences? Or, hey, I need to create a slide deck based on the following material. Can you create a slide? Something like that. Again, intro to ChatGPT, but there are many tools which you're going to see later that can do things that are more specialized. Okay. Canva, for example, if you use Canva, it has some great AI tools or techniques in there to help you design your presentations. You just type in what you want, what graphic you're looking for, etc., and it will support that. You don't have to go to ChatGPT first, pull it out, then go to Canva. A lot of the stuff is becoming more and more integrated. Okay? Coding and data analysis. Some of these tools do require a monthly subscription to ChatGPT for $20 a month. However, if you use Power BI or Copilot or other tools that your company may have, they might already be integrated in there, some of these functions. But don't go into ChatGPT with a free account right now, thinking that you can start analyzing data sets to the nth degree and things like that. Script writing is another one. I'll show you some examples here. Language support. I actually gave a presentation last fall to a bunch of students in Peru. It was an online thing, so not in person, which could be good and bad, but I had ChatGPT convert my presentation um, to Spanish and to other languages, because there were more students than from Peru, Argentina, Brazil as well, and some Portuguese and stuff. So then I took it over to the Spanish language instructor at St. Mary's, and I said, how did ChatGPT do? What are you interpreting that I'm going to be presenting on? And he was very satisfied with the output. So, and then I said interactive use cases, which will show you some of that. Okay, so again, not going to get into the science behind all this. Going to show you some select things that I've done for my own purposes, either for work or personal use, or just to show you what it's able to do today. Okay? And if any of you know me, there's a few people on this call, I'm I like to find the humor in everything, right? I might not laugh, but my head is spinning like, oh, that's so funny. So I'm going to show you some of these things here, especially the strawberries and Daryl strawberry, for example. But we're just going to go through these just to give you a taste of the different things ChatGPT can do. So I'm going to start with this YouTube channel, and I hope it doesn't fire off an email or a sound. Okay, close that. Okay, so this YouTube channel is my YouTube channel, one of my many YouTube channels that I try to monetize in my spare time. This one is a channel based around a fictional game character in a game that's been around for 30 years. That's not really what's important here, but the idea is it's a role-playing game, and I've created these fictional stories that happen to this character in that game. And what I do, you can see a lot of these videos here, and I just started this 2 weeks ago and I have 138 subscribers, and shorts and things like that I've worked on. I could not do this without AI. I have the scripting, I have the imagery, I have the narration. So there's many tools. I don't know if you can see it on my screen here, but these are the tools I use, some of them almost daily for AI stuff. Music generation. There are categories for just if I can see it here, songs about this character, where the tool creates a song based on your prompting. You want hard rock, soft rock, a million other combinations of music style in your video or in your song. AI will work with it. And I use Camtasia, which is a photo editing, video editing software. So it's not a one-stop shop just because I do this for free. I don't pay the hundreds of dollars a month to have all these tools integrated into one for this fun little project that I work on. But just know that when I say I'm using a couple different tools, and then I use Camtasia to edit everything, you can pay a couple $100s a month just to have one tool to rule them all, to do it all. I just choose personally because I'm learning, but also my own enjoyment of doing this stuff myself, and also the paywall. It can be expensive to have one tool just do it all for you. At least expensive for now. Economies of scale are coming on a lot of that. So just to give you an idea of what it does out there. And believe me, this is an example I'm sharing with my students in the fall, so I'm really excited about it. I like to do that, like go do things and then come back to the classroom and show students. But there are many creators out there that are doing this for their living. Like they are creating AI generated content. And this is what they do day in and day out. This is all they do. Okay. So it's not just me goofing around, having fun. There's people that this is their livelihood, to get monetized, to get the silver YouTube, the gold YouTube plaque, things like that. And they use this content. YouTube does have a box that you have to check if you are using AI altered content. But what that means is if you are portraying a real life person or a real life situation and you have altered it, such as a president saying something that was never spoken, or a person that experienced something that just didn't happen, right? That is what the box is for. If you read the details, it's not for this stuff, because this is fictional. It's not real life. It's not a real life person. They're not identifiable. And so that box with YouTube is restricted again to real life people or real life scenarios, okay, that are generated or adjusted based on AI. So that's interesting to me that YouTube went one level, but they didn't go and ban everything or say under all circumstances that AI is touching a video, check mark this box. They didn't go there. That's kind of the fine line I didn't want to get away from here, but I wanted to mention that as it's connected to this, in case some of you are wondering. Okay. Okay, so now these are going to be ChatGPT chats. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples here. I'm going to be mindful of our time as well. So the first one is trouble with Python. The reason I'm showing you these is because some of you are students, some of you are in the workforce, and some of you are trying to find ways to use ChatGPT or these tools to become more efficient or more effective with your work. Okay. So trouble with Python. I'm going to have to zoom in here so we can see all this a little bit on our screen. But here's my prompt. Okay, you go into ChatGPT with an email address, free. You could use your Google account, anything like that. And this is what you type in. Hi, I am stuck on my programming assignment. I am trying to install PyTorch in my computer, but it's not working. Can you give me some ideas on how to fix it? Okay. So no, this is written. This is not me going into a grammar check or Grammarly first and then pasting it in here. This is how I could expect somebody to write an assignment or write a request. If they're in one of the graduate classes we offer and they need PyTorch, but it's just not working out for them, right? Common thing that could occur, but the problem is it's based on individual user, right? Like in grad school, for example, we have hundreds of students. They don't all have the same computer, same software, same build date, same manufacturer, same Windows installed, all that kind of stuff. So one student or 9 out of 10 students could easily have PyTorch working fine in their Python environment. But that one student has something going on with their laptop that's just not happening. Maybe it's a work laptop where they're restricted from downloading additional libraries or .exes, something along those lines. And maybe they're working on their assignment at 10 o'clock at night and the instructor is not around, nor would the instructor really be able to help in a situation like this because the instructor doesn't know their work laptop, their environment. They can offer advice, but again, it's 10 o'clock at night, maybe it's on a weekend, something like that. So a student could come in here to get some information. Now, the AI needs a little bit more information, as I just mentioned, those scenarios that could really change things. So these questions, so I could say, my operating system is Windows. I'm using Python version 3.7. Or I don't know what version I have installed. Can you help me find out? So then the conversation can go that direction where AI is saying, here's how you go into your system information, or here's how you go into your applications panel, and you right click or hit properties to identify which Python you're running. So, or open up your Python and go up to information on the screen or in the UI, and it will show you here. I'm not going to do that in front of you. You'll just have to trust me that it can do it. It can help you with that. You're having a chat. Okay? But in the meantime, here are general solutions. Okay, here's some things you could try. Common troubleshooting tips that might be universal to everything. Maybe your Python is out of date, and you might need to reinstall. I love this here. Avoid using Python from Microsoft Store on Windows. Use the official one. It doesn't tell you why, but I could ask it, why should I avoid using Python from the Microsoft Store? And it will validate the reasons why it told me. Okay. You can copy and paste. I've done this with programming before when I've been stuck on a program I have 100 lines of code in, and I could probably do the Python in my sleep. but for some reason there's a line of code that's just troubling me, probably because I haven't been sleeping. And it will generally tell me. Yeah. Okay. So just a quick example of how this isn't anything new in the way that what would we have done before when we had problems like these? Well, we would have gone to Google and said, hey, Google, I can't get PyTorch, or PyTorch isn't installing. What do I do? And then what would Google have done? It would have sent you to GitHub. It would have sent you to different discussion forums like Reddit, perhaps. And then you'd have to read and read and read and hope that your problem or the answers that were given were close enough, or if not the exact problem you're facing. So in other words, this is efficient. This gives you a lot of time back. So that's one argument for AI in generative AI is gives you a lot of time back. It could be analogous to running macros in Microsoft Excel for repeated tasks, perhaps. Saving time, getting things where you need to find them, etc. Thank you emails, right? This is a common one. So I'm going to show you two of them here. And like I said, hopefully you catch my humor. So here's the first one. Write an email to MacGyver, thanking him for helping me rank the new employee. Now, I misspelled things in here on purpose, okay? Write an email to MacGyver, thanking him for helping me rank the new employee instead of employee, but mention that I am confused on why I can't type with two T's on the start date in the form without the I. Does it appear, so I misspelled does, it appear when I click on the submit with four T's button? Sure, here's your polished version of the email. Thanks for your help. Quick question about the form. Hi, MacGyver. Thanks again for your help ranking the new employee. Much appreciated. Quick question. I noticed that I'm unable to type in the start date. Does the field appear or unlock? And I'll tell you straight up, I had this problem 2 weeks ago. And look, I didn't go into ChatGPT to write the email because it was a simple enough email. But this is totally legit for the purpose that I had. You know, there's no inaccuracy in here. There's no exaggeration or anything like that, making a problem out of a bigger problem than it really is, things like that. You would have to be careful as the user to copy this into your subject header and replace your name. Don't put your name. Don't copy and paste and send this off. Look a little tacky. Okay, so that's that one. Click on another one here. What's different here, the text I have highlighted in blue is the same as the previous request, but write it as a punk rocker from the 1980s. Okay, so everything you see here is based off the same problem, but now I'm having ChatGPT write it from a unique perspective. Okay, cheers for the help, but that form's got me twisted, and then heavy metal, raising your fingers kind of emoji there. Hey, MacGyver, instead of hello, MacGyver, or hi, MacGyver, it's hey. Massive thanks for backing me up. Seriously, you rock harder than a double stack Marshall amp on a Saturday night. I owe you a cold one or a backstage pass to the chaos, right? So in other words, it's really going with that punk rocker theme there that I asked it to do. So I won't continue to read on here, but one thing I want to point out to you is this. Okay. Now this is for education purposes. This would not be appropriate for me to include in a professional email at St. Mary's University, right? I would not be offering to buy people booze or any of that kind of stuff. Nor would I want to, nor would it be a thought in my head. But that's the point I want to caution everybody on that's on this call, is there can be embellishment. There can be, okay, I want to have a fun email, but oh, wait, no, I don't want anything about alcohol in here. And my point is, you have to read the stuff coming out of here. You have to validate the stuff coming out of here, okay? Now, it might be fun because there's a couple of employees at St. Mary's that are in rock bands in their spare time. I don't know if they're on the call here today. I'm not going to call them out, but in their spare time in the summer, they play at different festivals and things like that. They might think this was a fun email to get, something to break up the monotony. But again, got to be careful with what you're putting in. I would never just copy and paste something out and send it. but also, especially with the reference to a cold one. Now we could argue that a cold one could be a Pepsi or something like that, but most people will not entertain it that way. So, okay. So I wanted to show you that here. I'm just trying to cover all our bases here on what it can do and things to think about. I'm going to skip strawberries and Daryl Strawberry for a second because that one actually summarizes everything we're talking about here. I should have put that last, actually. But exam practice. So just going to take a peek at who we have here. Okay, we have a few students here, or a few graduates, recent graduates here. And so this, to me, is a legit use of ChatGPT to help you study, to help you prepare for your class and things like that. There are problems with it though, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I want you to look at this for a second. I'll see if I can zoom it in. It can be finicky when I zoom in. Like like it's framing things up wrong. But I have to study for an upcoming exam about the BACCM model from Babcock. I can't see your faces, but pretend you're raising your hands if you understand a word of what that was. BACCM model from Babcock. There's a couple of you just on the call looking, peeking. But I want to practice for my exam by having you create 20 questions in a quiz style game. The quiz is worth 20 points. Give me a multiple choice question, and once I answer it, tell me if it's correct or not. Then go to the next question. Do not wait for me to hit the button. Okay. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Perfect. Let's dive into your 20-point BACCM, Business Analysis Core Concept Model. It knew, without me uploading a PDF or any of that stuff, it knew what I was talking about. Okay. Which of the following is not one of the 6 core concepts in the BACCM? I believe yeah, there it is. Okay, so I got this, and I put in C. Correct, communication is important in business analysis, but it is not one of the 6 core concepts in the BACCM. And then it educates you. It tells you which 6 they are. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for it to be comprehensive. I did tell it I'm preparing for an exam, so maybe it took it and inferred that as, hey, let me help the user here. Let me help the student confirm their knowledge. Even though they got it right, it could have said correct. Next question. Right? So give me a score of 1 out of 1. Question 2, your answer, B, need, refers to a problem, a gap between the current state and desired future state, something we work on in that class. I better get these right. I teach the class sometimes. Which concept, focus on worth, importance. I didn't answer this one, but it is value. But just to give you an idea, again, what did people do before AI? Well, a couple things. One, they created flashcards that they did on their own, front and back with the answers. They had people that they studied with. They paid massive amounts of money for textbooks that have complementary software that does this work. The other one is maybe you met with your instructor for study hall, perhaps, if there was a review session, depending on whether you're on ground or online or what the environment is. But now I can have a student at 10 o'clock at night who is worried about their exam on Monday and wants a little bit of extra practice. They can go in here and do this. Now, I did mention there were some problems with this. Okay. The problem is, what if AI misinterprets this, BACCM? What if it misinterprets Babcock? Or what if I just put in, I have an upcoming exam on the BACCM. What if I did not give AI this information? What if I did not give AI this information? What if I did not give it this information? Okay. We start to have problems. Okay. So this is what we call prompt engineering, understanding the tool a little bit better and how some of the responses could come out if you don't explain yourself well enough. It can interpret things and go left field instead of right field. Okay. I've seen it happen many times with other AI tools as well. Students are encouraged to create their own Quizlet tools in some classes in academics, and that can be a very dangerous thing if you allow AI to come up with the answers for you. Right? I would argue, I mean, I know this class inside and out, and I can tell you that these are all legit things. But I could say, redo the quiz and be very tricky. Introduce possible multiple choice answers that could be true, but are lacking a fundamental component that would make it not the best answer. I could do those things in here, and then it would generate it again and again and again. So another situation that could be acceptable, depending on your environment, depending on your teacher, things like that, as well. Now, I could upload, you see this plus sign here, add photos and files. I could upload a PDF of a chapter or my own PowerPoint slides or the instructor's PowerPoint slide deck, and have it create questions based off of that. That is something that these tools are able to do. Okay? Instead of just winging it, so to speak, and assuming that it knows what it has knowledge on, based on BAC, CCM, and Babak, I could influence it by uploading content. Okay. I'm going to save this one for last. Let's go into the strawberries and Daryl Strawberry here. This is a story. Okay. I'm going to go through a long chat, but I want you to see closely, and I'll pause for a few seconds. I want you to see what this tool is capable of really doing. Everybody talks about the emails and everybody talks about editing, stuff like that. But I want you to see all the different things that this tool is doing and the way that I ask for it, the good, bad, and the ugly, because there's some ugly stuff in this. Nothing not safe for work, but just some, when I say ugly, you could get in trouble with your customer or your supplier. Not illegal or anything like that, but just like, oh, it's going to be embarrassing if you send that out, kind of thing. It always goes to the bottom, so I'll have to scroll up here. A little bit of that. Okay. So for those of you that are a little familiar with these tools, for a while, these generative AI tools could not count the number of R's in the word strawberry. It was a big joke. Everybody was laughing on social media and things. So how many R is in strawberry? It fixed it, by the way, but it used to always say 2 or 1. Now it's correct. It says 3 letters, or contains 3 letter R's. And then I ask it in a different way. How many R is in this is in strawberry? Look at how I got a different response. Same answer, but different way that it reported the answer. The word strawberry contains 3 instances of the letter R. How many exact R is in strawberry? I'm trying to trip it up, is what I'm trying to do. And I don't think it answered this question correctly here. How many exact R? I didn't say RR, I just said R is in strawberry. The word strawberry contains exactly 3 lowercase r letters. Now, I can speak Spanish, and I know the Spanish alphabet, and so I was trying to trip it up here, but so then I went with RR. The word strawberry contains 1 instance of the letter pair RR. So it's been fixed. This used to be a big little joke, like, oh, AI is so bad it can't even count the number of R's because it says 2 or it says 1, but it's been fixed. And so I keep going here with different ways to ask the question. Now I'm using strawberries instead of strawberry, trying to see if I can trip it up a little bit more, but it's not working, depending on your interpretation, like I said up here. Now, this is where folks want you to pay attention. Now, instead of just asking that little question, saying, give me a picture of a strawberry, as simple as that. Simple as that. Here is a picture of a strawberry. I'm going to zoom out so you can see it a little more. There is a picture of a strawberry. I do not know where that came from. I do not know how it was made. I do not know if it took a million different pictures of strawberry and created its own based on the XYZ, shadow, color, hue, saturation, brightness, all kinds of stuff that graphic designers play in. I don't know the methodology for that. For this particular one, I've been studying this for a while, but I'm just on the surface just saying, I don't know the methodology for this one. Like, did it just find one on Google? Well, no, because I looked for this image on Google in the Google image search, and it did not find the exact one. So in some way, shape, or form, something was changed, whether it was these little pieces here, or this foliage or the green stuff up here, the shadow, things like that. Something is unique enough to not have been instantly picked up on a Google search, Google image search. Okay, now I'm asking for, give me a picture of a 1980s cartoon style of a strawberry transparent background. So I'm doing a little bit more specificity in my prompt. Instead of just saying, give me a picture of a strawberry, now I'm saying a 1980s cartoon style transparent background, because this is not transparent. This looks like parchment or something like that, with shadows. So this is what it gave me. It gave me translucent background, because this, this checkerboard that you see here is representative of a transparent background. It gave me a strawberry. Now, this isn't a too interactive session here, but if you were in my class right now, I would pause and say, okay, I want an answer to the following question. What is wrong with this photo? And then somebody will say, well, those little seed areas, those things that are supposed to be white or off-white, the tool did not do that. They just made them all red, right? So if we look up here, you got the off-white, the yellowish, mustard colored, whatever you like. It did not do that here. So folks, it can make images and do it well generally, but just like the writing, that punk rocker stuff I talked about, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. Okay? In its current environment, right? 5, 10, 20 years from now, who knows? Who knows? It'll be much more accurate, it'll be much more realistic. But today, right now, here's what we've got. Now I want it to do illustrate. Now I used a different word here, illustrate instead of give me. Illustrate a sci-fi version of a strawberry. It'd be a little more creative. Give me some fun. Let's have some fun with this. And this is what it gave me. A sci-fi version of a strawberry. Now, I could go and say, hey, do another one, but make it red. Or do another one, but make it have wires coming out of it. I could do that with this, and it would modify it further. Again, I don't know where this came from. It does not exist out there in a Google image search. My guess is it used, well, I know why, but I'm trying to avoid a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. It looked at this. It looked at this. And it went off into its vast world and started, and it defined what sci-fi meant to it. I know there's one of you on here with a theology background who, I said the word it. And it determined that. Now, if I were to do that request again, it could be completely different, but still somewhat technology, sci-fi-ish. So keep that in mind, that this is not the only version of a strawberry that's sci-fi that ChatGPT could come up with. Okay? Note too that this time I did not ask for a transparent background, but it provided one. Okay. Now we're going to go into Daryl Strawberry here. Okay. I don't know how many of you were born when he was playing ball, but I still have his baseball cards somewhere in my house as well. But I just kind of thought, let's go with the strawberry idea here. Okay, illustrate an image of Dale Strawberry hitting a home run. And then ChatGPT explains to me what it's capable of doing, but it would like more information from me. I could have responded, just do it. I could have responded, go with what I gave you, interpret what I gave you. I could tell it that. But I decided to answer its question here, cartoon style, and I wanted it with the Mets. I still remember him from the Mets. My cards are from the Mets, not from the Yankees or anything like that. So still from the Mets. So here's what it came up with. Home run. Darryl Strawberry looks somewhat like him based on the card. I don't have the baseball card in front of me here, but from what I remember. And there he is with the Mets uniform. Now, I didn't specify home or away uniform or any of that kind of stuff. So to most people, that would look pretty good, look pretty accurate. Okay. Then I shifted gears here. In his career, what was the average number of home runs he hit per season? I had to ask this question carefully. I wanted the average of home runs, but I wanted to say his career and per season. I didn't want to say last 5 years or just with the Yankees or what was his average number of home runs, because then it might have gave me the last season that he played or a random season or the first season that he played. I wanted to be more specific. So it showed me the math on that. I did not check the math on this today. So now I said, share 3 interesting facts about Darryl Strawberry. Okay. So it is interpreting. Gonna use the word it there. ChatGPT is interpreting the word interesting and facts. And note I misspelled his name here. I did not put a second R in there. Everything worked out just fine. So it is interpreting these things. I didn't say, give me 3 interesting facts about Darryl Strawberry off the field, or about his social life, or about him traveling overseas. Give me 3 interesting facts about Darryl Strawberry traveling overseas. I didn't ask any of that. I just said, give me 3 interesting facts. So it is interpreting how it wants to respond. So it gave me Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Star, and off-field redemption. So it showed me some stuff that I was not even aware of as well. Now, again, I'm not going to go into the theory behind why it showed me these 3 things. I have some ideas, but what I want to show you next is I went crazy. I said, share 41 interesting facts about Darryl Strawberry. So I went from 3 to 41 facts just to see if I could break the tool, or what kind of responses I could get, or what kind of garbage, maybe there's garbage I could get from it. So here's what it did. Baseball career, personal life, challenges, and legacy. It even bundled these for me. Career highlights, Mets legacy, challenges and redemption, personal life, cultural impact and legacy, and then legacy and records, which I don't know the difference between legacy and records and how it organized this. So to a degree, you're still going to want to look at this. You're not going to want to copy this out and send it to somebody, unless it's just for fun or goofing around. But if you're doing a presentation on your sports hero, you're going to want to look at this a little bit. So it gave me a lot of information in here about Darryl Strawberry. Can you give me his stats for each? So what intrigued me was he went to the All-Stars 8 times. So can you give me his stats for each of the 8 All-Star games he played? It gave me the cards for the All-Stars, which, again, I don't know. There's a few of you on this call. I bet some of you have a Darryl Strawberry card, but I remember these ones here. I remember those. And then it gave me the stats. Okay. Now, if you're still with me here, it gave me highlights, but then I said, can you create an XLSX file for those stats that you gave me? It did it. So I had them all in here in a website type table. I could copy it out for sure, but it gave it to me in an Excel file that I can open up and everything's nice and clean. And then I asked it, what are some ideas of why he did poorly at the 1984 game? And here, folks, is something I want to show you carefully. You might not know baseball, but I tried to trick it. I tried to poison the tool by saying, oh, he did poorly. And I tried to assert that he did poorly in the 1984 game. He actually did not do poorly in the 1984 game. He went 1 for 2. So he didn't go 0 for 2. He certainly didn't go 2 for 2. But then he said, if you're asking hypothetically why a player might underperform, here are some factors. Okay. So then I said, what about the 1987 game? Do deep research. This here, these AI tools can bring back stuff very quickly, but if you specify that you want it to take some time or do some deeper research, it will go out there and you'll spend some more time. You'll be waiting for a little bit, but it will go out there and try to ensure that it has accurate results. And so look at this stuff. Like, this is amazing to me. I don't know enough about baseball. I don't want you to think that I'm a baseball expert here, but I played enough baseball as a kid and in high school, and my kids are in baseball now, and they're 10U and 8U and stuff like that, so I'm learning all that. But like, I didn't know Tim Raines was there. I didn't know anything about Tim Raines and the MVP honors and that kind of stuff. I didn't know you know, any of these things. Now, one could argue, well, how do you know they're right? Well, that's what I'm going to explain in a minute here. But it's given me some great information. Now, it's from Wikipedia, so it does show the sources, and you can argue that Wikipedia is not a good source. You can do that all you want. But it at least gives me some things to think about in one spot. And that's becoming the difference. I'm not going to 30 different websites to copy and paste information. I'm not reading, now, good, bad, and the ugly. Some of you on the call might be like, oh, you're not reading anything? Like, yeah, that's what people are doing now. They're too long didn't read culture exists. I didn't go into a fact book, a 1987 fact book at the library and page through it and then find information and then type it into my laptop, any of that stuff. It was here. So I wanted to share this as kind of the summative example of, I asked about strawberries, but I asked it to do some images for strawberries. And then I went ahead and talked about Daryl Strawberry in many different ways here, all in one chat, all in one area focused on Daryl Strawberry and strawberries. Okay. I'm going to save this one. You're all going to be able to access this. I'll share this out at the end based on the email signups and attendance. But things people use generative AI for, there's a long list. I'm not going to spend time on that because you'll have access if you're curious. But Deloitte has given us some more use cases that business is using it for, not just me checking out Daryl Strawberry stats on all-star games and things. Clinical trials, impurity detection, in IV fluids, right? Instead of the human eye, using AI kind of things. Vulnerabilities in supply chain management, a very big deal. Investment, finances, automated investment management, basically anything with numbers, anything out there. Business planning, so people can go into a ChatGPT environment and ask questions about what they're doing or ideas on how to solve a problem that they're facing. I know there's some people in the room that are like, oh, that's not safe. You never give company data. You're right. Don't give company data to ChatGPT. But you can spitball ideas. You can decode things. You can ask it in ambiguous ways. You can not use a work computer to work on it. Things like that. Test cases. So if you want to train people or predict what could be some problems with XYZ that I'm building in my manufacturing plant, it could generate some ideas for you to think about, maybe something you haven't thought of. A couple more here. Music, as I mentioned on my YouTube channel, I'm able to generate music very easily and separate it out. Instead of using expensive software with different layers and things like that might have been done in the past, it's still done, but I can tell it what I want to do. Separate the music layers, separate the drums and percussion from the lyrics or the singer. Transforming data or news into more ways. Social media content automation. I'm using a tool that is making me aware of the hot topics about AI, and it will even go as far as to say, based on your previous work, would you like me to auto-generate a LinkedIn post or an X post or Instagram post based on the style I have about you? It can go that far. Like half the stuff on LinkedIn is not just fake, but people didn't even post it. A machine did, kind of thing. So that leads me to this here. We're almost out of time, but everything I've just said, here are the two things that we need to do as people is teach meta skills. So when to trust it, when to verify, right? A lot of my examples here, I said, we still have to be the human in the loop. We still have to look it over. Promote prompt literacy, where I showed you some examples of different ways to put things or not to put things. Believe me, I could have given you a lot of bad prompts that would have produced junk. But that would have been a lot of our time fixing it. But being able to also understand what the tool can do, and did you use the tool? Some of you might work for companies where you have agreements or may soon have agreements where you are required to identify where AI was used, or generative AI or AI in general was used in the manufacture or the delivery or the service or the communication of a product or service. Um, just like green products exist, non-GMO, um, antibiotics in cows, milk, and things like that. Organic versus not organic. I believe those things are coming. Consumers will be asking for those things as well. So those are the two things that, I keep thinking about. That's where my PhD is. I can do the neural networks and talk about that, but I'm really studying these two things. How do we help humans? The fact is, the train's left the station. This stuff is here. It's not going away. So when do we trust it? When do we have to verify it? What can we use it for? What's safe to use it for? What are the situations where if we use it, we could accidentally upset our customers or our employees or our colleagues or commit a crime? There are many tools out there like ChatGPT, and I'll show you here. There are many tools here that do what ChatGPT does. Okay, and I've used many of them. There are also nefarious tools out there, things that will create pornography. There are things that will identify how to design a weapon. There are things that will help write scripts for scams, for scamming people over the phone or through emails, things like that. They're not on this list, but it's bigger than ChatGPT. I know I've talked generally about ChatGPT today, but there are a lot of tools out there. Some of you might be using proprietary tools where you've bought for an API or an interface from OpenAI or some of these other companies that is overlaid into your own tools, and your employees don't even know that. They don't know where it comes from. They're just using the tool as they've been trained. So it's huge. I could have gone many more slides just showing you all these tools, and it wouldn't be enough tools. We're almost out of time here. And just checking. This came out 2 days ago on LinkedIn, and something that's really interesting to me. For any of you, it was just really interesting. AI agents, so the tools, the software, the full package, right? We recently heard from a consulting firm that they've noticed something new on the incoming resumes. Candidates, so people looking for jobs, are listing themselves as hybrid managers. They are managing both human AIs or human employees and AI agents, tools and things like that, and aspects of the business that are around AI. So they're noticing those things. So are you managing AI agents today? How are you assigning tasks, setting the boundaries, or evaluating output? In other words, the things I just went through with ChatGPT with you today, assigning tasks, setting boundaries, or evaluating the output. What practices have helped you integrate AI smartly, safely, and effectively along with your human team? I watch a lot of Twilight Zone episodes, and those came out in the 60s. And I'm just telling you, like, we're here. Like, Brain Center at Whipple is a favorite of mine. But there's many more. There's many more out there. And to think we're in the 2020s now, a lot of that came out 60 years ago. It's just amazing to me to think we have an AI team and a human team, that we're here and we're thinking about these things. So one more thought here, what I call cognitive hygiene, right? Cognitive hygiene. What AI thinks it knows about you. So if you think about the internet 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, or so when it became available in every household, we didn't emit data, right? Because it's new. But we've given the Internet of Things, all this data about ourselves. Our smartphones emit data. So AI is here and it thinks it knows about you. So it's going to react based on what it knows about you or assumes that it knows about you. And that could be right. Many times it is right. And then sometimes it's wrong. It's wrong, meaning it's giving you answers to questions that either you don't care about or answers that are of the wrong scale or wrong level of understanding as well. And so final takeaway here, these resources will come together, creating a collaborative web of resources that amplifies human intelligence. Okay. Now we do have the ethical concerns, which we're not here to talk about today, but that aside, it is helping humans be better. Okay. Perform better. I'm not here to say 100% of employees, 100% of humans. What does better mean? 1% better, 100% better. But there are people that like, hey, I use AI every day, and people around me are fine with that. My customers are fine with that. My suppliers are fine with that. What's the problem? Then there's other people that are concerned about what that's doing for the learning of children. If children are using ChatGPT, in grade school, elementary school, what is going to be missed? So we need to be mindful of these things. They are becoming easier to use. Some of you use Copilot, I'm sure. There are add-on packs with Microsoft, Chrome browsers, phone apps, custom marketing applications. There's a lot of tools out there where you don't even go to ChatGPT or OpenAI.com to use ChatGPT. You use software that you might have always used, but now it's upgraded with a layer of AI. Like Adobe, if you're a graphic designer, you have some of those tools available to you within AI now as well. Okay, so there's going to be a survey provided when this webinar ends. We're always on the lookout for guest speakers, real-world projects. We have one in the fall, but we're always looking for more and opportunities to connect with our students with industry. Some of you here are representing organizations or are interested in working same areas, so please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And you can use this very simple email address, CBA, if you don't want to spell my last name, cba@smumn.edu. As I mentioned, I know I kind of didn't leave room for questions and answers. This is our first intro to ChatGPT. We hold these monthly, but we are going to continue holding these level of intro to ChatGPTs. We will have specialized topics as well. This is kind of our headline launch. So the survey, when I hit the end button here today, is going to ask you about some of those topics that you might be more curious about and such. And maybe some of you are interested in being the guest speaker. That's, I'm not looking for it to always be me. And maybe some of you, after listening to this, are like, good, I don't want to always hear from you. But we're always on the lookout for experts on particular topics. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. Please email cba@smumn.edu if you have any questions. We did go the full hour here, so thank you all for coming today.